Welcome back to Jack of All Games Tabletop. I'm Dave Wallace, and today we're doing back to miniature painting videos. I have been working for months on the game Massive Darkness 1 and 2 as a commission job, painting the whole set for a friend, and I'm finishing up today with the very last piece, this Demon Dragon. It has been tons and tons of work, and I just keep looking forward to that last one just to feel it be complete. And so yeah, I'm gonna end with this one. So I thought, hey, might as well make a little video of it. So the model is super cool. Let me pull them out here. This is the Demon Dragon. It's got that Japanese style look to him with the whiskers and everything. So yeah, tattooed many of these things. Going to be super cool. Now, when I was making plans for this originally, I was looking at the box cover art itself, and I was thinking about making a lava base, with the kind of glow coming up underneath it. So I pulled him out and realized he does not have a base, and that for me does change things, because without that ground effect, you sit him on a map amongst a whole bunch of other miniatures that don't have the same kind of texture and background to it, it seems a little out of place. If he's standing, even if it's just big enough base for him, building up that rock and the little channels for the lava to flow through, helps generate that source of light, the OSL. However, I feel like on a map without the base, that would be highly out of place. So I'm going to do this just similar to the box art, and probably a Zenithal style highlight coming from the top. There will be a little bit of OSL and the glow on the box. You can see he's breathing that fire there. So we're going to do that. We're going to get that nice white hot yellow fire down on the throat, and a glow in the eyes. And most of this is going to be done with airbrush, just because of the size. All the details, of course, I'm going to be doing with paintbrush. So close. Let's get started.
All right, so yeah, like I said, I'm going to be using airbrush a lot here. This particular airbrush that I use is not really for fine lines or anything like that, so I use it for priming, and especially with these bigger models like this, it does the big color fields for me pretty well. It can be a time saver. Rattle can would probably be faster, but yeah, I like just sitting in my den and doing it with the airbrush here, and get those deep shadows underneath, especially when I have the lighter tones from above. So I'm probably going a little bit heavier on the bottom side, but making sure everything's pretty well coated. The reds I use on this actually is a primer also, but yeah, so that's my little same area that I do my videos from. It's where I use my airbrush, and I do it all the ways you're not supposed to. I don't wear a mask, and I do it in the house. It's just acrylic paint. But I don't recommend that because I'm not supposed to. So yeah, he's pretty good to go. Little touches here and there if I need it. So then I started on this. I started on the underbelly first, and I just these are just Vallejo airbrush paints that I was using, going for that tan underbelly. I want to make sure there's a good separation between those bottom plates and the top scales, and there was some of that on the cover box too. But yeah, this is like I said, very similar to how Japanese dragons are usually, when I tattoo them. I do something similar with a, usually a yellowish kind of underbelly to them. So yeah, I started off with kind of a brownish tan color first. And then once I got that feeling pretty solid, then kind of switch over to a lighter yellow ochre kind of a tone. Like I said, these are all just Vallejo airbrush paints. So this is just the lighter tan color. Like I said, more in the yellow ochre, and I also get, like, you know, the underside of the arms a little bit, just like, you know, human arms. You know, it's lighter underneath, and so I can use some of that tan in there. Oh, sorry, this is the lighter, the lighter tone. I did thin it down, so I put a little bit of thinner right into the airbrush first, and then a little bit of the paint, and then use that paintbrush to stir it up. Got to be careful with some of these airbrush paints. You go too thin and you get a lot of overspray. On this light yellow ochre, didn't have too much problem with that, and definitely trying to get to especially the parts that I feel like, you know, when I set the model on the table, I'm looking at, you know, where the light actually will hit. So yeah, here goes. Like I said, this is a red primer. Now, one thing about this red tone that I was using over top is that I think I thinned it down a little bit too much, and as a result I got a lot of overspray. Like I said, this isn't really a fine detail airbrush, so, you know, my overspray did get onto a lot of my yellow and tans, so I actually touched them up a little bit later. I do a little bit airbrush touch up, but I also, of course, am going to be doing quite a bit with paintbrush. But this is a nice bright red that I'm putting over top of this, and I will use a paintbrush to highlight every one of those little scales. And then, yeah, just kind of finishing up the tail. So you can probably see, you know, some of that overspray that got onto the tan colors. It happens, you know, working in layers and stuff anyway, so it's all right. This is really more, airbrush for me is more about getting the base colors down, unless I'm using it for a little bit of OSL to, you know, get that nice smooth light finish. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, for the most part, this is what I'm using the airbrush for. So yeah, there I'm kind of touching up some of that underbelly. Felt like I got a little bit too much, and again, you know, the paint that I'm using on that underbelly, it's a little bit thicker, so it doesn't get as much overspray to it. And actually, I think with this, I only was planning on doing a little bit, so I actually didn't thin it down at all. This is just a little shot of some yellow into the mouth. I'm going to use later paintbrush and to get the whites and yellows and all that. So now we're in my actual painting station here, and I am using I use mostly Pro Acryl as far as, you know, I love their paints, and their coal black is what I'm doing for these horns, but also the spikes that go down the back, and I'll use it on the tail too. It's got a definite nice flat black to their coal black. So there you see, with just the black, looking pretty decent, for a start. And now it's time to start doing details. Now that I've got all my base colors in. So this is Pro-Acryl's Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray actually has it's kind of a bluish gray, and I'm doing just the highlights. That the part that faces the sky, that's what zenithal is. I'm not using speed paints here, and people a lot of times get that term confused. Zenithal is not about speed painting. Zenithal is related to the zenith of the sun. So when it's at its highest point, the light coming down is zenithal highlighting. So you don't need speed paints to do zenithal highlighting. Now at this point, kind of hitting some of the edges where the underbelly plates meet the scales, and I'm using a even lighter caramel brown by Pro-Acryl to hit the highlights of these underbelly plates, and especially the areas where I think that the light above would actually hit it. So you see it's kind of close to the top of the neck there where it starts to round. And I also used this on the lips and inside the ears too. Now this is Citadel Agrax shading. This is a nice muddy color. It's a great color to use for shading on a lot of, especially just grungy looking stuff. This model is really detailed. It's got a lot of nice little small cracks and crevices in it, and the shading just gets right in it. And as I'm going along too, I'll put a little bit of shading in, and then I'll also go back and make sure it's not pooling up in the edges, spread it over the thing, and really just brings out all the details on it really nice. And once again, I'm hitting those highlights. Now that the Agrax shade has dried up, then I'm going to go back and bring out some of that caramel color in a few spots to make it really pop. It's the little details that make it all look cool. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to be using some white here. So yeah, shoving that paintbrush down his throat. I will also use that. I believe this is more of a pure white that I'll use not only in the back of the throat, but also on the eyes before I put some transparent yellow over all. Not all of it. I want some of that very center of that white to show up in the back of his throat. But also using you can see here, I'm kind of starting with the eyes. That's the white, but I'm going to put that transparent yellow over top of it. I also use an ivory white by Pro-Acryl to do the teeth and some of the little spikes on the side. Side note, when I first discovered Pro-Acryl, the store owner had suggested this bold titanium white, and he told me this stuff will change your life, and it has. It's the best. Okay, here is some speed paint, Army Painter speed paint. It is Slaughter Red, and I am going to use that on the beard and the whiskers, over top of the red that I already painted on there. It's going to make it more vibrant, almost velvety looking, and it keeps it so that way that beard and it's still red, but just enough to separate it. Has a really cool looking texture. Like I said, it just makes it a little bit more vibrant. So I thought it turned out pretty nice actually. I think this is some of the more yellow coming on the tongue, this angle, you kind of see right there. You kind of see some of the white in there, this is another Citadel. This is Skeleton Horde. I like this for bone color. So you can see I'm doing these little spikes in here, and I'm gonna pretty much cover them with that, fairly thin. But then also the teeth. When it comes to the teeth, I'm gonna use this Skeleton Horde towards the gum lines and lighten it up to not being on there at the tips of the teeth, so that they look kind of used, like he's actually eating stuff. So like along the gum line, maybe it's still a little grungy, but yeah, by the tips of the teeth, they're that ivory white because they've been scraping all that tartar off, I guess. Has a nice look to it when it comes out though. And then I do something crazy, but yeah, well, I could have done this with a lighter airbrush originally. I decided to, like I said, this model's so detailed. Every little scale really does have kind of like a split or a dent down where it kind of gives it a little bit of an angle, these nice edges to it. So I actually go through this whole model and just hit all the ones that are facing the top, all those little scales that are facing upward to the sky. I'm going to hit with this bold pyrite red, bold pyrrole red, and just it's just a little extra detail just to make him look that much cooler. So turns out pretty nice. It's a bit of work to sit there and brush every little scale like that. But yeah, it makes a difference. And I do the same thing with a little bit on the whiskers, a little bit of the muscle structure in the arms. I'll hit the highlights that are facing skyward with that same red. And there he is. Yeah, he's done. And yeah, turned out pretty damn cool.
All right, so after weeks and weeks and weeks of this whole Massive Darkness project, months, yeah, finished this guy up finally. And with the help of the airbrush getting all the base done, everything went pretty quick, even though I did kind of dot most of those little scales, and it is still tabletop ready. It's not going in a display case. This is going to get handled. This is going to get played. So, but I still, really dig, some of the details, how they came out on them. It looks sharp, and I think it's going to look good on my buddy's table when he's playing Massive Darkness 2. I think this one's from. So yeah, that's my project for the day. So, not sure what I'm painting next, but there's never a shortage of stuff to do. So next painting video that we do, hopefully it'll be something interesting and different for you. But hope you got something out of this, and love to hear what kind of projects you're working on. Are you working on any big game projects that you're painting or playing, of course, as always. But yeah, thanks for watching, and until next time, get out there and roll some dice. Hey gamers, thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. It's one of the things I know that I can count on with the gaming community at large. This is of course to the point where I gotta ask you to like it, hit that subscribe button, and maybe share this with a friend. If you are a game designer, or maybe starting your own gaming company, and you want to do a little bit of cross promotion, maybe you got a prototype that you want me to check out and talk about on the show, definitely let me know. And of course, for all questions, suggestions, and corrections, there's all kinds of ways to get a hold of me. Probably the easiest one is just comment below. You can also send me an email at jackofallgamestt@gmail.com. The T stands for tabletop. And if you'd like to take a look at my commissioned miniature paint jobs, or even some of the other stuff in my life like photography or tattooing, which is what I do for my day job, go check it out on Instagram at Art of Wallace. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.